the reserve witness to TCW822 has a serious health condition that is with hypertension, and the doctor recommends that he cannot testify today as he needs urgent treatment. So due to this critical health condition, the chamber decides not to hear the testimony of this witness today, as well as next week. And the hearing of this witness testimony will be rescheduled, and the parties will be notified in due course. And court officer, in collaboration with VISU, please make necessary arrangement for the transportation of witness through TCW822 to his residence or to where he needs to be treated, and please make that arrangement as soon as possible. Now the chamber hands the floor to Khieu Sampon's defense. That is, after we are going to continue putting questions to this witness. You may proceed.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. En fait, je voulais répondre.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to respond to the objection of the prosecutor to say that, contrary to what he heard, I did not hear what he heard. The prosecutor said before the technical problem we had that the witness stated that it was Tamok who gave him the gold which he used to buy the watches. Under the chamber's control, I did not hear that. What I heard was that Tamok gave him pigs which he used to buy medical supplies by trade by barter. So I would like to have the witness clarify this matter. Mr. Witness, before the break, did you say that Tamok had given you gold for the purpose of buying watches?
At that time, we ran out of currency, so the district commerce office said it would request to Onka. And then I went to collect gold from the district commerce office. And I was told that the gold belongs to Ta, and Ta here means Tamok. And this happened on through occasions that I talked about the trade of bartering. First, I bartered for medical supply with pigs, and for the second round, I bartered it with gold.
Et ces montres, vous les avez.
And did you give the watches to Tamok subsequently, or to the district officials?
No, in fact, the bartering was not only for watches, it was for all kinds of supplies. And I did not know what the district office gave to Tamok. Because for us, we would deliver the supplies to the district office, and it was up to the district office to make necessary distributions.
Et à part,
and apart from supplies for the production of medicines and the watches, do you remember any other goods that you bought as part of the trade by barter with Vietnamese?
Besides watches, medical supplies, etc., We also bartered for strings for hammocks, and that would be sent through the army.
D'accord.
Very well. Please tell me, in your capacity as a cadre at that hospital, did you receive the same daily food rations as the other staff members and the patients at that hospital? Can you explain this further?
In my unit, although I was not the chief and was a deputy there, regardless of our position, we would eat the same food. If we were to eat gruel, we would eat the same gruel. And sometimes I also joined with the patients for our common eating. Once the bell was rang, then we would go for meal, and we never had any separate meal from the staff.
Alors je vous pose cette question.
I have put this question to you because I also noted in the record of your interview with DCCAM, that is D313.1.2.409, English 0072 9049, Khmer 0041 98 32 and 33. In this interview, which took place 14 years ago, you explained, and I quote, free translation, as soon as I heard the bell ring signaling the time for meals, I immediately rushed to the refectory and I took three plates of water lily soup. Was that the ration that everyone received at the hospital? Did each person receive 4 plates, a bowl half full of water lily soup, and 3 bowls of porridge during each meal?
Yes, we received the same ration. However, the gruel was not thick. It was a watery gruel. And I would usually consume 2 to 3 bowls of watery gruel. And after that, I would have a bowl of water lily soup. And then I top it up with water, drinking water. I sometimes had meal with the medical staff, and sometimes I would eat with the patients whose disease or illness condition was not infectious. And sometimes I would go to the hospital beds and had meals together with the patients there.
Merci pour ces précisions, monsieur.
Thank you for this clarification, sir. I would like to put a very short question to you, precisely regarding a number of your staff members. Uch An, that was the nursing aide who was sent to Krang Tachan. You talked of this person, identified that person as Uch An. Please tell me, did that person have a nickname? Or you knew that person simply by their real name?
បាទ
When the person was with me, only one name was referred to.
Lequel?
Which one?
Only one name was referred to, that is Han, and I did not know the surname. We call her Niri Han.
Est-ce que vous vous souvenez comment
Do you recall how you got to know that she became a cook at Kranta Chan? How did you get to know that she became a cook? Is it possibly because you ate there?
When I went to spray DDT, I saw Neri Ann was cooking rice, and it was a small pot, and probably from what I could see, it's a true rice can rice pot, and I did not speak to her as I was afraid, because over there I believed that she was a prisoner.
il vous est arrivé de prendre un repas?
And did you happen to eat a meal at Kranta Chan?
បាទ
No, never.
Vous avez indiqué à cette barre
You told this chamber that you went to that center only once. But when you were interviewed earlier, I would understand that apart from the time when you went to spray DDT at Kranta Chan, you also went there to give injections as a healthcare provider. Do you confirm that second visit to that security center?
No. I reject their statement. I never went there to provide any injection.
Vous aviez aussi expliqué
You also explained that you did your best to make sure you were called there thanks to the intervention of one of your guards at Kranta Chan, a person you knew. Do you remember saying that?
No. That never happened. I did not know any guard there. What you said is untrue.
Alors je voudrais, monsieur,
Mr. Witness, I would like you to make some clarifications regarding the fate, in any case, what you knew to be the fate of the Khmer Krom. First of all, in a personal capacity during Democratic Kampuchea, did you receive instructions or hear of any instructions targeting specifically the Khmer Krom? Those instructions had to do with some differential treatment of the Khmer Krom?
បាទ
No, I did not receive any instruction aiming specifically at the Khmer Kampuchea Krom.
Et même sans recevoir.
And even if you did not receive instructions, did you witness any ill treatment or any specific treatment of the Khmer Krom during the Democratic Kampuchea regime?
No.
Alors je voudrais
I would like to conclude my questions, witness, by referring to a conference on purges which you said you attended. You referred to it the day before yesterday, I believe. And it was after 11 hours, 16 minutes and 9 seconds. You stated that you attended a conference on purges. May I ask whether you do confirm that you personally attended a conference during which mention was made of purges?
Yes, I did attend that conference, and the purges were mentioned. That is the purges of the evacuees from Phnom Penh, or in short, it was in relation to the purges of the new people.
Alors justement, c'est ce.
That is precisely the point that caught my eye, because when you were asked to tell the chamber who attended that conference, you stated that the conference was attended by evacuees from Phnom Penh. So that raised certain questions. That situation you appear to describe raised questions. At a conference, they talked about people who are going to be purged, and you didn't give any further details on that. I would like you to clarify that matter.
President, witness, please wait, and the International Deputy Co-Prosecutor, do you have the floor?
If counsel is going to assert that this witness made that, I don't recall any such statement by the witness that evacuees were present. So if he has that reference, if he could refer it to the witness and us so that we can see which testimony he is referencing, I would appreciate it.
President, the objection by the Deputy International Co-Prosecutor is sustained, and Defense Counsel, if you prefer that line of questions, please refer to a specific document.
Oui, bien sûr.
Yes, of course. I will give the reference of the transcript of the 17th of March 2015 from 11 hours 16 minutes 9 seconds. This was the answer given by the witness. But let me start by asking the question, Mr. Witness, I would like to know whether there was a meeting during which such instructions were given, or whether several meetings were held during which that subject was broached. I wanted to backtrack a little in order to be clearer. The witness was reacting to a quotation that had been read out to him regarding the Cambodia Krom Khmer, who were accused at a meeting of being KGB agents and Vietnamese spies. And I'll now talk about the answer given immediately after 11 hours, 16 minutes, and 9 seconds after the purges. What I know is that instructions of such a nature were given during the meeting I attended. Question: and can you tell us where that meeting took place? Answer: that meeting was held in the refectory near Ang Roka Market, in the refectory that is in the kitchen at that location. Question: how many district cadres were present at that meeting? And if there were any commune chiefs, how many were present? Answer: I do not recall the total number of persons who attended it, but I do recall that there were commune representatives from the neighboring communes. There were also many people who were evacuees from Phnom Penh and Takeo. Now, I will skip one passage and read two statements from 2 pages later on, an explanation given by the witness at 11 hours, 18 minutes and 32 seconds regarding that meeting. And this is what the witness stated, and I quote, free translation: mention was made of purges during that meeting. These were members of the army who had to be purged from the rank of warrant officer, and as regards members of the administration, it was from the first deputy mayor that people had to be purged after 11 hours, 21 minutes and 8 seconds. This is the passage from your statement of the 17th of March, witness, and I found it very surprising that reference was made to purges in the presence of the persons who had to be interrogated and who had to. And so I want to know whether that is what you really meant when you made that statement.
I didn't mention about the people who were to be purged attended that meeting. I didn't say that. The only people attended the meetings were the village commune representatives and the district committees. And I myself represented the hospital. I also attended the meeting. And all the attendants were purely cadres.
And was there a specific reason why you, as the head of the hospital, had to attend a meeting where purges were discussed?
Answer: as far as I know, there was no specific reasons rather than calling the village chief and commune chief, and they were told that the enemy would be smashed. That's all.
I understand, but you were neither a village chief nor a commune chief, so why were you there?
Answer: when the meeting was convened by the district chief, all offices around the district were called to the meeting. In fact, it was a meeting to warn those cadres or to instruct them to be cautious, especially at the hospital.
And how were you supposed to show this caution at the hospital?
Answer: in fact, during that regime, at the hospital at night, there were guards on duty very strictly, because there was a thief who stole rice very often happen at night, and then we would chase those thieves. Many thieves who stole rice from our kitchen. Sometimes we didn't have enough rice for our meals, and then we would go to another place to borrow some rice for our place.
What is the connection with the purges?
Answer: I'm talking about the hospital. The purge wasn't forced against the thief who stole rice from our hospital. So at different cooperative, anyone who stole anything would be arrested. And the rice would be stolen from the hospital by some women, and the thief went away. And as a member from the hospital, I was not instructed to do any purge, but that announcement on purge were mean to those village chief, commune chief, and other people, but not directed to the representative from the hospital.
I have no further questions, Mr. President. Thank you.
The President, the Chamber thank you, Mr. Rilson, who spent your time to give testimony before the Chamber as a witness until today, and your testimony will contribute to the ascertaining of the truth. Your testimony has now come to a conclusion, and you will be excused, and you can go back to your residence or to any chosen destination, and the Chamber wish you a good trip. And also thank you for Mr. Rick Perry, a duty counsel, who attended in the courtroom to consult the witness. Court officer, you are instructed to coordinate with the witness and expert support section to facilitate the trip of the witness home or any place that he would like to go. President, the Chamber now addresses the request on the 7th of March, document E 344 and E 344.1 to summon civil party D20/2500 under Internal Rule 87.4 and under Internal Rule 83.4 and 5 of the internal rule, and the floor is now given to the lead co-lawyer to address the court if you have any thing to add into the request and to the argument you address in the written request. You have 5 minutes to make oral submission now.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was not expecting to present this submission because we believe that our written submission was sufficiently comprehensive. I simply wanted to have the Chamber's leave to address possible objections or arguments from the defense team or from the co-prosecutor's office. So as far as we are concerned, we believe that this submission is relevant, that it addresses the requisites of Rule 87.3, and that it responds to the requisites of Rule 87.4, insofar that this is a reasoned submission and that this submission is useful to the ascertainment of the truth. And also, we explain in detail the reason why we did not have access to this information before formulating this submission, and we also explain the reason we're asking to hear the civil party, because the civil party has information on the acts of the accused person. So I will stop here for the moment, and I'll simply ask you for the leave to respond and to provide complementary information if the defense, the co-prosecution, or the defense were to solicit clarification on such and such a point. Thank you very much.
President, thank you. The Chamber would like to give the floor to the co-prosecutor to address the court.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your Honors, I'll be brief. We do support the request. The relevance of the information is self-apparent. The only additional point I would draw to your attention is that under the prior rulings of this court, evidence relating to acts and conduct of the accused is only admissible if the witness, or in this case civil party, appear in court. That's a ruling from before, and I think that's an additional reason why the request should be granted.
The President, thank you. Co-prosecutor, now the floor is given to the Defense Counsel, and Nuon Chea Defense Counsel would start first if you have any submission to address the court.
Thank you, Mr. President. Not really, actually. The thing is that we really do not see well the relevance of this testimony. If Nuon Chea had in fact visited Le Boer, we would happily and readily concede such a thing, such an event. Because if he visited the work site, what would that add to his conduct? Or what would that add to any proof of his alleged criminal responsibility to what happened there? Maybe I see things not very clearly, but I don't see the relevance of establishing a visit of Nuon Chea together with Pol Pot to the work site. So, by all means, call for the witness. We don't really care.
Yes, Mr. President, our position is pretty much the same. We believe that, however, this is a tardy request presented by the civil parties. It's a loss of time, and even more so because when the civil party filled out the information requested, she stated that she is suffering from mental disorders. The This is index D22 2500, and that this person also has faulty memories. So she also provides a lot of detail to substantiate this. So the solution is maybe to have her come, but I think that this will be a waste of time. Of course, the chamber will decide. I note not only that this person apparently suffers from mental disorders, and that completely contradicts the fact that she could remember such important moments. And also, since the request is so tardy, I think that it should be dismissed.
President, the chamber would like to give the floor to the lead co-lawyer to make the response to the submission made by the defense counsel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will address this very briefly, point by point. If I understood well what my colleague Kopi said, is that the possible presence of Nunchea Lebo is not an element that pertains to acts and conduct. It seems that in view of the jurisprudence that the presence of the accused persons on such a site pertains to their acts and conduct, and therefore, in view of your jurisprudence, I believe you should summon this person so that this person may explain in an adversarial way what happened, with the defense, of course, being afforded the possibility to put the questions that it wishes. So, in view of your jurisprudence, the possible presence of Nuenchea and Kyosampan in Lebo commune pertains to what you call the acts and conducts of the accused. Now, with regard to the fact that our request is tardy, and here I am responding to the Kyosampan defense, well, we explained very clearly in our submission why we did not have this information at hand, and why today we would like this information to be presented to the chambers and to the parties. So, as far as I'm concerned, I think you should consider that our request is not tardy, because we explain in detail why we did not have access to the necessary information before we presented the submission to the chamber. Well, loss of time for the defense, maybe. However, for us, hearing this person would be particularly useful to the ascertainment of the truth, because she indeed intends to testify on the presence of the accused at Libo commune, which falls within the segment of this trial. So, of course, we will rely on the chamber's discretion with regard to these matters. However, when we consider the criteria of Rule 87.3 as well as the criteria of 87.4, as well as in light of jurisprudence, I think you should accept this request and summon this civil party to be heard before this chamber. Thank you.
The President, thank you. Mr. Atuvekan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very briefly, I see that the issue of the civil party's mental health has not been addressed. And I'd like to remind you that in this request, she says that she's going to testify. This is a civil party, and we should be reminded of this.
En réponse.
Mr. President, with regard to this person's mental health, I can tell you and assure you that she is perfectly able to testify before this chamber. And with regard to the fact that I used the word testify on many occasions, it's, of course, just a matter of language. Of course, I agree that civil parties do not testify, but they are simply heard. So I have no problem with regard to this linguistic difference.
The President, the Trial Chamber thanks for all arguments and submissions in response to the request by the lead co-lawyer for civil parties. The Trial Chamber will consider the request and the arguments made by the parties and will issue the ruling in due course. And now the Chamber addresses the defense request for an adjournment to permit them to read and analyze the disclosure of Case 003 and Case 004 statements. So that the party can read and analyze disclosure of Case 03 and 004 statements. The Chamber has considered the Nguyen Chia written motion, the co-prosecutor's oral response, and all the party submission during the hearing, and particularly those of the 4th and the 5th of March 2015. Disclosure of statements from Case 003 and 004 has been ongoing since October of last year, and the Chamber has accorded the parties additional time to review these documents where merited. On the 23rd of February 2015, the Nguyen Chia defense indicated that it had read the disclosures it had received to date. Since that time, the Office of the Co-Prosecutor has disclosed an additional 226 statements, constituting about 2,500 pages in English and 2,300 pages in Khmer. The Chamber has taken into consideration the size of the most recent disclosure and the current sitting schedule. Further, the Chamber notes that the International Co-Investigating Judge disclosed document which will permit multiple team members to review the documents and perform word searches. It further notes that it intends to change the sequence of work site by delaying the hearing of Trapang Tmor Dam, to which a number of the new statements relate, until after the Kampong Chanang airport topic. Based on these considerations, the Chamber will adjourn the hearing schedule for the 6th through the 9th of April and will reconvene after the Khmer New Year recess on the 21st of April to hear the testimony of the next witness. The Chamber considers this will provide the defense and civil parties sufficient opportunity to review the disclosed material. This is the ruling. The Chamber informed the party earlier that we will issue oral ruling today. The Trial Chamber would like to inform the parties, and there's a change in schedule of hearing witness of the reserve witness for today. He has a severe health problem. We cannot hear his testimony, and during the next week, and we will look at our possibility to call other witnesses to hear on next Monday. And with regard to other changes of schedule, the trial chamber will notify the parties, and it will be sent by our senior legal officer by email to you this afternoon, and then we will consider on that, and we will rule on that in due course, and we will notify the parties notify to the parties by our senior legal officers. As the reserve witness has a serious health problem, I saw you are on your feet, Mr. International Deputy Co-Prosecutor. You may address the court.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to bring one further matter to the attention to the court that may affect your decisions on scheduling of witnesses next week. And this is in regard to 2 TCW 809. The new statements that we've disclosed, the large group, as I've previously indicated, do not contain information relevant to Tramcock District. So his testimony wouldn't be affected by that. However, in starting to prepare for him, this is also a person who was transferred to the Central Zone in 1977 and has some significant information relating to the purge of the Central Zone. And out of interests of fairness, the 220 statements that were disclosed do include, I believe, around 20 to 25 interviews related to the purge of the Central Zone. There may be, in that group, 5 to 10 interviews of cadres, not from Tramcock District, but from other areas of the Southwest Zone who were transferred up to Kampong Cham around the same time. These aren't interviews that I would expect to use. However, I want to make sure the court is aware of that, the defense is aware of that there are at least some new interviews of people, cadres, who were transferred up to Kampong Cham that may be of interest, at least in preparing for that witness. We'll continue to do our best here to give guidance to you where there are disclosures, new disclosures, or where there are matters that we become aware of that may affect upcoming witnesses. So just to repeat, there's, to my knowledge, nothing in these 220 documents related to Tramcock, but there are interviews related to the Central Zone and Purge. I wanted you to be aware of that.
President, thank you. And Councillor Coupet, you have the floor.
Just requesting the prosecution how we should read 3,000 pages as of tomorrow, because I think we get them tomorrow. We have to read them all before Monday. Is that the idea? What's the idea of saying this? There's no way that we are able to read that, let alone analyze it, let alone discuss with our clients. So it is a irrelevant remark, I would say.
There's nothing irrelevant about it. The trial chamber is considering which witnesses to call next week. I'm simply alerting the chamber and the parties that one of the remaining Tramcock witnesses has information in addition to Tramcock. So there is one overlapping area with respect to some of the new witness statements. That may be pertinent. That may be pertinent to the defense. We've identified in the disclosure which ones do relate to the purge of the North Zone. So they're there. It's for the chamber to decide how to schedule this witness in view of that.
Petite question supplémentaire pour M.
A little additional question for the prosecutor. Do you expect to tell us what are the 20 or 25 testimonies that may interest us in this whole mass of the 226 you are speaking about?
The annex that was provided with the motion has the relevant subjects tagged, and I actually am perfectly willing to send you an email from identifying, even from within those 25, which ones were cadres who, to my knowledge, came from the Southwest Zone to the Central Zone. I'm perfectly content to do that. But in terms of the issue of the purge of the North Zone, we have the relevant subjects are identified for each interview.
President, thank you. I think that is sufficient for all parties. Or you wish to add some more, Councillor Vakang?
Yes, indeed. We don't have the annex. So can you please provide us with the details? Thank you.
President, thank you. The Chamber is now facing the issue of the rescheduling due to the subsequent disclosure of statements. Also, we had to consider the status of witnesses, as in the case of the elderly age of the witness today. So in order to reschedule the hearings, we had to take into account all these matters. And up to this hour, the Chamber has yet to inform all parties as to which witness that the Chamber will call to testify on Monday. That's why the Chamber informs the relevant concerned parties that the trial chamber will hold a meeting, internal meeting this afternoon, as to which witness that we shall reschedule to be heard on Monday next week, and the parties will be informed either this afternoon or tomorrow morning. The Chamber now adjourns today's proceeding, and it will be resumed on Monday next week, that is 23rd March 2015, commencing from 9 o'clock in the morning. This information is for all the parties. And the security personnel, you are instructed to take the two accused back into the ECCC detention facility and have them back into the courtroom on a Monday next week before 9 o'clock. The court is now adjourned.